All right, so we have some more news on the PlayStation Portable remote player for PS5 console. I don't know if you could really, well, for the PS5 console, but you can't really call this PlayStation Portable a console. So let's talk about it. For one, uh, well, there's a bunch of things. Okay, people were kind of hating on this thing for the design initially, or at least maybe they still are, with the fact that it's just a PlayStation 5 controller cut in half. I personally don't, I understand how that's like a meme thing, and people kind of hate on that, but honestly, if you compare this to the PlayStation Vita was a phenomenal console. It was one of my favorite handheld consoles of all time. I still recommend, like, if you can, go buy a Vita. I think if you have not owned a Vita yet, you should go buy one because it's an amazing device and there's a great library of games. Really, truly is. It's just awesome. But the PlayStation Vita had a couple limitations, and one of those limitations was the thumbsticks were not clickable. So instead of being able to do that, they moved these like L3 and R3 buttons to the back of the device on this touchscreen, and so the touchscreen on the back of the Vita had two different areas. Like it was like the I don't know. It was an awkward kind of thing. It was like you could touch the back of the Vita in like four different sections, and depending on the section, it was either the L3 and the R3, which is just clicking down the thumbsticks, or it was the trigger buttons. So, I mean, maybe some people don't know this or they don't remember, but like the PlayStation Vita did not have trigger buttons. They basically had bumper buttons, and that was like it. So, like, let's take a quick look here. And so there was this Hori device that came out for the Vita, which was like the best. It wasn't really like a case. People weren't buying it for the fact of like a case, like to protect a Vita. That's not why they bought it. They bought it because it added both the trigger buttons and the L3 and R3. But in order to use the L3 R3, you like you had to use your, like, what is that, the ring finger, I don't know, the pinky, the finger above your pinky, to try to like use that as opposed to just clicking down the thumbsticks. And also the issue with the trigger buttons is they weren't, there was no like what you call that, like there was no give to them. Like normally with a trigger button you can kind of like hold it down halfway. So if you think about like a driving game, if you press it down a little bit, you're gonna go slow. If the more you press it down, the faster you're gonna go. Same with the braking. The Vita did not have that capability, even with an attachment like this Hori controller, which was a great, thing that people had like the option for. Um, but also like this Hori case thing. Initially, it was like $30 or so on PlayAsia.com, but like once it sold out, these things were going for over $100 on eBay just for this little case. So, and I think that is still the case. So there were some limitations with the Vita. Like it was, you couldn't, especially if you're doing like a remote play scenario, which actually worked very well between the PlayStation 4 and the Vita. I tried it and it was a great experience. In home. I never tried it outside of the house, but inside the house it was great. There was no lag for me, but there's games where you could play a PlayStation 4 game, but again, like you're not going to want to play Gran Turismo or something because you don't have that normal trigger button. It's just not the same experience. You're missing functionality. And so that rear touchscreen on the Vita was definitely a gimmicky thing. And having this is as much as people think it maybe looks a little ridiculous, you have a full controller here. So you have full size thumbsticks. You have the ability to click them down. You have full size trigger buttons that act appropriately, and apparently this also has like the vibration and sort of haptic feedback stuff as well. So I don't mind the form factor is sort of silly as some people think it looks. It is practical in terms of just like you get a full size controller and you get it to be portable. So I don't have a problem with that like a lot of people do. But battery life is going to be a huge concern because PlayStation 5 controller, in my opinion, like is the worst, in my experience, is the worst battery life of any controller I've ever owned, the wireless controller. So like you pretty much have to plug it in every time, like after every time you game, GameStop was selling PlayStation 5s early on with like a bundle where they gave you two controllers. I think part of that was like maybe they knew, you might be gaming and one of your controllers is going to like turn off and then lose battery and then you just got to use the other one. Obviously you can get like a long USB-C cord to plug in your PlayStation 5 controller, which I've done. I've purchased that for that exact reason, but with a wireless controller, it's like you expect more battery life. So the controller, I think, supposedly is rated for like 10 to 12 hours, just the controller itself, which in my experience, I don't know if I've gotten that much, honestly. I think it's been a lot less, especially if you're playing a game that actually uses the features of the controllers, like in the demo game that they have for the PlayStation, which is like one of the greatest demo games ever. It's like free game that you get to play if you have a PS5. But if you're playing something like that, it's like it's using all the haptic feedback, all the features of the controller, and the battery life like is not great. So the fact that you have that already, and then you're adding a screen on top of it, like I don't expect the battery life on this thing to be good at all. I really don't. Maybe they're just like banking on the fact that like maybe people will play in portable mode less. But this thing seems pretty thin. I mean, I don't see the back of it. I haven't seen pictures of the back of it, but it needs to be like thin and light to be portable. So that's going to be a huge concern. That's a huge concern. The operating system supposedly doesn't have a bunch of features on it. I mean, it really doesn't have any features, I guess, besides just connecting to your PlayStation 5. I don't have an issue with that. I really don't, because it's like if it can run what's on your PlayStation 5, then it should be fine, but there's going to be questions of like could you, like, if you have Netflix on your PlayStation 5, can you watch that on this thing? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. And does this thing even have speakers? Like, I'm not seeing any speakers anywhere. Like, I'm seeing no speakers. So do you have to have headphones? Like, there's some questions here that are unanswered that make this, like, maybe a just a crappy buy. Because if you have to have headphones just to use this, like, I'm not seeing, like, you just look at the top. I see battery, I see Wi-Fi, and I mean, we see a settings toggle, but I don't see, like, volume directly. And, I would assume you would hit that and maybe just adjust the volume, but I don't know. I don't know. Does it? I don't know if this thing has speakers. We can talk about the price. So my thing was like, if it's any more expensive than $199, if it's $249 or $299, this thing is DOA. $149 or $199 is I guess a better price, given that it's not a actual console. It's just a companion device. I think $149 is probably like ideal. I mean, if you're looking at like the price of a controller is about $70. You're adding a screen on top of that. $149, $199 is like, just for the hardware alone is like, I guess I get the pricing because they have priced it at $199. So they priced it in a way that's not making people like run for the hills, but it's like people just are like not super excited about. Just generally speaking, I mean, or just speak for myself. I'm not super excited about this. It's more of like I'm concerned of whether this thing is gonna work practically. Does it have audio? Does it have does it have speakers? Do I have to have headphones in the whole time? Um, it's hard to, like, they made it hard to see. I think that there's actually like a headphone jack in the bottom middle, but I don't know. Like, they just need to show more of this product. Like, they just need to put it all out there. Because apparently you can connect wired headphones, but this thing doesn't have Bluetooth, so you can't use your own Bluetooth headsets. You can only use theirs or a wired headset. So it's like, it's a little odd if it doesn't have any speakers. I mean, you can play the Vita with the speakers. I'm not seeing anything about speakers here. The LCD screen, it would have been nice to have OLED. You're already coming from like a Nintendo Switch OLED, and you got to switch over to this thing, which is not OLED. It's not great either. It's not the worst thing in the world. A lot of people don't have the Switch OLED. A lot of people still have their Vitas, which they like and enjoy. And if if you haven't had a Vita, if you haven't experienced Vita, I would suggest you go buy one, because the Vita is a phenomenal system. But the Vita started out with an OLED screen, but then they switched to the LCD for the Vita 2000. So most people that own a Vita have an LCD screen, and it's fine. So we'll see. It's capable of 1080p 60. I'm fine with that. I think 1080p is much more of a realistic target. Like, most games honestly are still not 4K. Sorry to say, but like 4K gaming at 60 is still kind of a gimmick. There's still brand new games that are coming out for this generation consoles, whether it's Xbox or PlayStation 5, that do not hit 4K 60. So it's just a reality. Like, 1080p is still fine. 1080p is a phenomenal resolution. 4K is still, we're just not there yet, really, with 4K still. So just generally speaking, even if you're playing on your TV, like I said, a lot of games are not hitting that 4K 60. So I'm fine with that. LCD is fine. I mean, I get, I'm assuming it's a cost saving measure. Fine, whatever. You obviously need to have a PlayStation 5 for this thing to work at all. I don't know what the cost of these earbuds are gonna be, but it's like most people already have a wireless set of earbuds, so to have to buy another pair sucks. So they screwed up with the lack of Bluetooth, in my opinion. Because, like, for me, I'll have to literally plug in headphones, and when I already have earbuds that I could use. I have AirPods, so that was kind of crappy of them to do that. So that's weird. It's not a great thing. It also says it relies on your Wi-Fi network, your home Wi-Fi network, and it says that their requirements are like, I think, 5 megabytes per second. But it says for better gameplay experience, you need at least 15 megabytes per second. I don't know. I mean, with the remote play for the PlayStation 5, what I remember is that with the PlayStation 4, what I remember was that you could, like, the PlayStation could create its own wireless network, and so the Vita could connect directly to the PlayStation 4. Whereas this is different. It's like, this is relying specifically on your home Wi-Fi. It's a different thing. So I don't know. It's like, it has to have no lag, and it has to look like you're playing a PlayStation 5 in a portable mode. the battery life has to not suck really bad, because it's like if you had to have a headphones connected to the bottom of this thing, so you have a wire coming out the bottom, and then I'm assuming that the charging port is on the top somewhere that they're not showing in any of these pictures. I don't know why they wouldn't show that. I mean, you're happy about this device, just show it. Like, so you're gonna have to also have that connected. So, like, I don't know. This is definitely like one of those products where it's like a wait and see product. Plus, it's not for, the economy's not great. People are struggling. If you have a PlayStation 5, it's sort of, be blessed to have that. And then to add on another $200 for a portable experience, it's not. I don't know. It's a tough sell because it's not. It's not a standalone device. It's a companion device, but we'll see. I'm not. I'm not saying no to this product yet. I'm saying maybe to this product. Actually, that's kind of where I'm at. I've owned most consoles to this point. I've been lucky to be able to do that, and I do enjoy having a portable gaming experience. And for me, I game at home, so like portable experience just means around the house. So if it can provide that perfect gaming experience in a portable way, then this might work for me. And maybe it's something I'll wait till it comes on sale. I don't know. I mean, if it was $149, I would be like seriously thinking about buying it. $199, it's like, I don't know. It's not a terrible price point, but it's not the greatest for what it is, for this companion nature of this device. People are comparing it to the Wii U. I don't think this is quite a comparison to the Wii U, because the Wii U, you had to be pretty close to your Wii U to use that little handheld thing. Like, you had to be in the same room. You couldn't really take that to another room and keep gaming. It just didn't quite work. I was not a fan of the Wii U. I ended up just selling mine. I don't know. I felt like the Wii U itself had a little bit of lag. So, that was my experience. Supposedly there's some settings that maybe could change, but I was not a fan of it. So, we'll see how this goes. That's my thoughts and opinions on this PlayStation Portal. Let me know what you think. Is this a buy? Is this a wait and see? Is this a heck no? No interest in this thing. Curious to see what folks think, and we'll see. I like the thumbsticks. I like the trigger buttons. I like a lot of it. I'm concerned about battery life. I'm concerned about the sound, audio, Bluetooth scenario, and also just if it has lag. If Wi-Fi is going to be enough to make this work well. So we'll see. That's my thoughts.